If you've ever watched a legal drama or court here on YouTube, you've probably heard the word plea bargain. But what does it really mean? And why would you care? Well, today I'm going to break down everything you need to know about plea bargains, what they are, how they work, and why they're so common in our legal system. Let's dive in.
Okay, and a plea bargain is only for people who are guilty.
No.
No.
Plea bargains are extended in nearly in every case. Every
Really?
case there's a plea bargain. Oh yeah. It's whether the lawyer and the client want to accept it. Do they have other evidence to show that would warrant a dismissal? So almost every case that's disposed of is disposed of by a plea bargain of some sort. Now, it may not be in a plea bargain that you like, but it is what it is, right? You know, a lot of things are taken into consideration for plea bargains. Criminal history, age, what does the victim want? Like in an assault case, right? The DAs a lot of times will take into account what a victim or an alleged victim would like.
A plea bargain is an agreement between the prosecutor and the defendant. And the defendant has to agree that they are going to either plead guilty or no contest. In exchange, they get certain concessions. Those concessions might include a reduced sentence, lesser charges, or maybe dropping some of the charges altogether. Think of it as a compromise that saves both time and resources for the court, but it also comes with some pretty significant consequences for the defendant. And there's several types of plea bargains. 3 main types to be exact. There's charge bargaining. I had never heard that word before, and what it means is the defendant pleads guilty to a lesser charge than the one originally filed. For example, pleading guilty to manslaughter instead of the M word. The second one is called sentence bargaining, and in that, the defendant pleads guilty in exchange for a lighter sentence than they would have gotten, or might have gotten. For instance, agreeing to probation instead of jail time. And the third one is fact bargaining. And in that, the defendant agrees to admit certain facts. And in return, the prosecutor agrees not to introduce other facts that may make sentencing worse. So, each type has its own implications, and it's really important to understand what's on the table before agreeing to anything. Let's put a pin in that for a minute and talk about no contest. What does no contest mean anyway? Well, I'll try to explain it. Let's say driver A and driver B get into an accident. Oh no, driver A has hit driver B because he broke a law. So driver A gets a ticket. Driver A goes to court and pleads guilty for that ticket and pays his fine. But then driver B sues him in a civil case to recoup the money from the accident. Driver B can use the fact that driver A pled guilty and he will win his case. However, if driver A pleads no contest when he goes to traffic court, then driver B can't hold that against him later. So, in a case like that, talk to your attorney and make your decision. However, in a criminal case, if you are guilty and you go and plead no contest, that could be good for you, but it also could go negatively. And let me tell you why. Because if you go to court and you know you're guilty and everyone knows you're guilty and you say, I plead guilty and judge, I'm so sorry. This is what happened and this is what I'm going to do to make amends and this is how I'm going to move forward in the future to make sure this doesn't happen. Sometimes it can help your sentencing, but don't take my word for it. Get an attorney because pro se is not a pro move and you always want to take an attorney's advice. All right. Unpinning the plea bargain. Plea bargains are a critical part of our legal system for several reasons. Number one is efficiency. Trials take time, they take resources, and plea bargains help courts manage heavy caseloads. Unfortunately, they're very heavy and, unfortunately, frequently understaffed. Number two, uncertainty, because both sides get to avoid the uncertainty of the trial outcome. They know going in what they're facing. with a few caveats that we'll discuss later. And number 3, justice system resources. Prosecutors and defense attorneys can focus more on the complex cases and let the cases that are simpler just be handled by plea bargains. Here's a fact you might not have known. More than 90% of criminal cases in the United States are resolved through plea bargains. Without them, the court system would be completely overwhelmed. Don't want to take my word for it? Here's Judge Fleischer to explain.
Sort. I mean, I think statistically they say, what, of all the criminal cases, 5% go to trial?
Wow.
Give or take?
Okay.
Yeah, by and large, I mean, over 90% of the cases are settled through plea bargain agreements.
Please consult an attorney if this applies to you and you have a court case. This is just purely for educational purposes. So here we go. Pros: you can get shorter sentencing. You can have less stress and expense from a trial. You can have a quicker resolution of your case. And now for the cons. Possible loss of the chance for acquittal at trial. There's no acquittal if you have a plea bargain. Sometimes you might have pressure to accept a deal, even if you're innocent. And there's limited ability to appeal later. Let's check out what Judge Boyd has to say about that.
You're charged with the offense of theft of property less than $2,500, 2 or more previous convictions. That's a state jail felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call, and the right to remain silent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by entering this plea you are giving up those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
I'm sorry.
I got to be honest. I would hesitate there too, because once you take that plea, there's no going back. You'll never be innocent in the eyes of the court.
Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into this plea bargain agreement?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe she has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against her?
I do, Your Honor.
Do you believe that she's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the lien? I'm trying to figure out, why do your go-to is stealing. What if everybody who didn't have a job decided to steal? So you have prior theft cases and they were all state jail felonies. So why do you continue to steal? And according to this, you've been stealing since 2014. And you just want to stop stealing. So you're stealing and you're using drugs. Why is this? So you're telling me when you drug tested today, you're only going to be positive for marijuana? So if I send you across the hallway to get drug tested, I mean, that can happen today. And you're saying it's just going to be marijuana. All right. We can have a drug test done. Is there anything you want to say before I send you to go do your drug test? All right. So I'm going to find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty. We're going to recall this for tomorrow. She's going to do a drug test today. Not tomorrow. Is there something she wants to say?
There is, Your Honor.
Oh, what would you wish to say to the court? I'm sorry, what? And what would that be? All right, so why are you playing games with me? Well, no, that means you were dishonest with the court. I asked you, what would you be positive for? You said marijuana, nothing else. I told you I could send you right across the hallway to get drug tested. And you said, please do. Send me. I'm not going to be positive for anything else. So now you're telling me it's going to be meth.
So, what do you think? Would you do the same thing? I'd like to think that I wouldn't, but it would be tough, wouldn't it?
All right. Court is going to sentence you to 2 years in the state jail facility, suspended and probated for 4 years. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular random UAs. There's going to be a TAP evaluation, follow all TAP recommendations. There's to be proof of employment within 45 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. There's to be no contact with Walmarts, and that means any Walmart. There's to be no contact with the MRT, CATS 1 and CATS 2. Bill visits one time per month for 6 months. We can do a referral to felony drug court. You need to make sure you make all of those appointments to felony drug court. There's to be 100 hours of community service restitution and 120 sober meetings in 120 days. Probation, is there anything else she needs? Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful? Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right. Good luck to you in this court to be successful on probation. Communication is key, okay? All right. Good luck.
For defendants, it's a tough decision, and it requires careful consideration of both the risks and the rewards. Plea bargains involve several players. The prosecutor, they're the ones that offer the terms of the deal. The defendant and defense attorney work together to decide whether to accept or negotiate. And the judge, they have the final say, and they have to approve the plea deal. And even if both sides agree, the judge can reject a plea bargain if they feel it isn't in the best interests of justice. So, would you want to work on a plea bargain, or would you want to go to jury trial? It would be a really tough decision. And I think it depends. Are you innocent? Are you guilty? And what proof do they have to prove either one? While plea bargains can be beneficial, they're not without risks. You're giving up your right to a trial by jury, and a guilty plea stays on your record, even if the charges were reduced, and even if you're innocent. You might feel pressured to plead guilty, even if you are innocent, to avoid a harsher sentence if convicted. And sometimes you have to wait in jail until your trial happens, and that can take months. Sometimes people just don't want to spend that time in jail, and they're willing to take a plea. And that's why having a skilled attorney is so important. They can help you navigate this critical decision, because it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life, depending on what you decide. When are plea bargains worth considering? Well, if the evidence against you is very strong, you might want to consider a plea bargain. If the deal significantly is going to reduce your penalties, you may want to consider a plea bargain. Or if you just want to avoid the stress and unpredictability of a trial, you might want to accept a plea bargain. But every case is unique. You definitely want to consult with an attorney. They can evaluate your situation and give you the proper advice, letting you know exactly what your outcome could be. Plea bargains are a complex but essential part of our judicial system. While they can offer a faster path to resolution, they also come with some very serious implications. And I hope that I've helped you break it down a little bit and understand what a plea bargain is. I can tell you that as of a year ago, I didn't even know what they were at all. Talking to judges and attorneys, I finally have a bit of a grasp as to what they are. And if it's helped you, Please subscribe for more insights into the legal world. And if you do experience legal trouble, be sure that you have adequate professional counsel before you accept any deal.